And we're live. All right, here we go. First episode of Mind Over Matter podcast with Trevor and Kevin. First off, Kev, how you doing today? What's
Hanging
up?
out, bro.
What's up, baby? Oh, drink of choice. How about that?
Yeah, you know what
Uh-huh.
it is?
You
No,
already...
I fucking just got back from the gym, so I gotta hydrate.
Yep, I brought this to the gym. I got a pack of them in my car. Go real quick, Walmart. You get them for like 70 cents each. If you buy the 8-pack, you already know. But yeah, just got done with the gym. I hit some chest. What'd you hit? You hit legs, right?
Both of them, yeah. No,
Both of them.
you know, like a lot of people make the mistake of only hitting one leg. I hit both of them.
Oh,
Keep the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had a
You know, try to keep them even.
Yeah, no, I went a little bit early, so it wasn't that many.
Yeah. Ain't nothing like getting there early. So basically, I guess we'll just get right into it. Start off with a simple introduction. I'm Trevor. I'm living in Tampa right now, 24. Just got out the Army. Moved from around Nashville area, Fort Campbell. And yeah, looking to get into marketing at school, play the big game, use my GI Bill up, get that money rolling. And then the end goal is hopefully own my own gym by age 30. Doesn't seem too far of a fetch. And then, yeah, so basically kind of hopped onto this podcast, kind of wanted to start it because about 2 weeks ago, hopped on like a little spiritual journey, I would say, for myself. It was kind of weird, kind of just woke up every day with this weird amount of energy that I had something to give, happier, just I had something to give, everyone else had something to give, so it made me want to do more. I hit up Kevin. Here we are now. About a year and a half ago when I was getting out of the Army, I kind of started studying this kind of stuff and what we're about to dive into. So it definitely wasn't just like a wake up, boom, I'm happy now. I wish it worked like that, but it wasn't. I guess I'll hand it over to Kevin now.
Yeah, so I met Trevor when I was in the Army. I'm still kind of getting out right now. I'm on my last bit of leave now. So really I'm looking to get into probably sales or marketing, copywriting, all that kind of stuff where it's like it's all you and whatever you do is how successful you are. That always kind of appealed to me. It's like I don't want a job to pay me, the same whether or not I do a good or a bad job. Like I would probably do a good job anyway just cuz, but it's like why would I want to be surrounded by people who aren't, I'd be miserable like that. So really just looking for that real big come up. But that's kind of the great thing about sales is like if you know how to do sales, every job has sales in one aspect or another.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I'm really trying to leverage is like learning how that kind of psychology of sales works and what the process looks like, and then trying to leverage that in something else.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of why I chose marketing too. Well, first off, step one, I went into a little local gym I had, and I talked to the owner, just walked right up to him. I said, "Hey, I got free college from the Army. If you had a chance to do this all over again," and I think they're 3 or 4 years in now. What would you go to school for? And that was his first marketing, easy marketing. If I knew how to market, my gym would have been successful way earlier.
Yeah, and like no shit, dude. Like now is like the best time to learn how to do kind of marketing, sales, copywriting. There's so much info out there that it's such a crazy thing right now. Like we have so much information that's accessible to us. You just kind of have to go looking for it.
I wish I could, man. Yeah, at the beginning of the year, I think it was December, I want to say 29th, I walked up to my dad and said that. I said, "Dad, I think this year," and he didn't get it, but I walked up and I said, "Dad, this year, I think I just kind of want to focus on information because look at my phone right here. On this phone is literally anything you can learn. Anything. And everyone has a phone." No bullshit, bro. So that's crazy you say that because that's exactly how I started this year. That was one of my first thoughts for this year.
No, what got me interested, kind of thinking like that, was I walked into a bookstore. I think it was out somewhere in Colorado, right? And I was like, it never occurred to me, I've been in bookstores fucking my entire life, obviously. But I walked in there and I'm like, dude, there is this is all just a collection of knowledge, right? This could be someone's entire life work that they spent 60 years
Yep.
collecting all this information on. And like I just have access to it, you know?
And it's right here. All I got to do
It's
is
like,
put the time aside.
yeah, and like that's a bookstore. Like that stuff's good, but
Also, fucking
it's
sorry to cut you off, but those fucking books are like $5, bro. You go to like the sales section at Books a Million, the bitches are no
oh,
bullshit,
oh
like $5, cheap,
yeah.
dirt cheap
And
for this.
so
Oh, go ahead.
like I like books, but the issue that I kind of was seeing was like they're kind of limited in how like cutting edge I guess they could be. Like if you make a book, right? In 6 months, who's to say that book is still going to be relevant, you know?
Yeah,
So that's kind of how I started getting into the Twitter side of it. It was just kind of like it was pretty easy, not gonna lie, because I found one dude that was doing a lot of really crazy shit, like with sales and stuff. And then it was just as simple as seeing who he interacted with,
and then
because
boom,
he's not.
bro, and then it follows.
And then it's just boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
And then I did the same thing kind of with fitness. I started following one guy, saw who he was following and interacting with, and it's just kind of great because like the people that are in those spaces, they're exactly like us. They're just kind of driven guys that they know kind of what they want to do, and they have a lot of energy and kind of ability to achieve
Yeah,
all that. They just need to have an actionable way to achieve that.
yeah.
So
And they also, diving into our topic for the day, ought to
yeah, let's do
find
it.
their purpose. How about it?
Yeah, I think kind of even if you're not explicitly looking for that, we're all subconsciously looking for our
Yeah,
purpose.
subconsciously, and this is something that I've kind of struggled with. It's that saying is listen to your heart, pretty much. It's that deep down, you have this like weird funny feeling, but then there's this all this info around you saying no or whatever. So like with the army, there was this deep down feeling since I was 0 years old, bro. Since I was born, that I wanted to be in the army. In Chicago, there was nothing for the army there. Nothing. It was all Marines. There's no recruiter. Nothing. Ain't shit.
Yeah,
Boom, grandma dies. We move to Florida, and right here, brother runs into an army recruiter. Like it just happens, bro. It just follows it in. Like it's the craziest thing in the world, but it's that purpose deep down, and that's what I've struggled with recently. Is because that army career for me ended. I got medically discharged. My army career ended. Now I got to find this whole new purpose, and that's what this past year and a half has been for me. So
yeah,
how
no,
about yourself? What got you to kind of lean towards kind of figuring it all out?
well, I mean, I think it's pretty similar to you probably, if I had to guess, just because like the army's really good at outlining everything. Like you have your rank structure, everyone knows what each other is supposed to be doing, and everyone is supposed to know the mission.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
way,
It's just such an easy place that has a standard. It's
yeah, and
just
I guess
everything's a standard.
it largely depends on what unit you're in, obviously.
Yeah,
But for ours, it was really easy for me to find a purpose there because, like, I could see that, when we went down range, I was fixing these helicopters and they were,
we were
taking
directly
like,
affecting. Yeah, it was awesome because we were able to witness it, like see it with our own eyes how we're affecting the world.
yeah, but like, kind of when we stopped doing that so much, like when I left Afghanistan, then they shut it down, like, probably 6 months later.
Yeah,
It's like, holy crap, bro! What are we even doing anymore? Like,
yeah. It's like that shock. Like exactly. Yeah, I got home. I got done with my deployment. Found out I was undeployable, and now I'm like, well, well, I'm not gonna.
yeah,
Yeah, like, well, then if I can't do it, and then like you said, they shut it down, and then yeah, like it was crazy. This series of events that led me to thinking to myself like, what am I really doing here? If we're just everything I just did for the past 4.5 years, it felt like got undone.
yeah,
So
no, and
you know what I'm
it
saying?
just I think it's important to note too. It's not like all that like we did or any other soldier or whatever veteran did. No, none of that got undid. I don't think you know how we kind of talk about sometimes it's very hard, almost impossible to kind of force someone to want to do something like that.
Yeah,
So you can look at the casualty numbers, man. Just there was only think about it like this: there was one dude captured in the global war on terror, and he walked off his post and got captured. That's it. Like we did not that Afghanistan thing didn't happen because of lack of soldiers doing their jobs. And I think
Yeah.
we all did,
Well,
extremely
yeah,
well.
and especially for me, which was really cool, is my first deployment ever at age what I think it was 20, yeah, 21. First deployment ever. I went to Iraq for a month, and they said, "Hey, we're picking up. We're setting foot down in Afghanistan. We're going to be the only ones there." So for
Yeah, so
me, it was
that's
dope because,
awesome.
bro, we touched down, we hit the ground running. SEALs hit the ground running. These dudes, everyone's hitting the ground running. We're affecting Afghanistan. We're making their lives better. And then I get home about a year and a half later, and I just risked my life multiple times. I was in near death situations multiple times. I hear missiles firing every night. I'm woken up every night multiple times. And now I get home. I'm suffering with all these stupid past traumas for
Yeah.
nothing. And it's gone.
It's
So
like,
it was just like,
yeah, no,
yeah, it was just like that led me into digging deeper and ultimately asking the question, what is my purpose on the earth? What am I here for? What am I doing here? And
no,
I'm
because
curious what you got.
honestly, dude, it's a real blessing in disguise, those types of situations. And like, you don't realize it at the time, because at the time it sucks, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like those type of events really kind of change your mindset. Like when I first deployed, I was 19, right? Um, and like the second day we were there, we had to do some dart for an engine issue. And like I had done dart training a little bit in Green Platoon and shit, right? But like it was never real. Like you can't prepare for a real thing like that.
No, you
It's
can't.
so
You
crazy.
no.
No, you can't. And then like once I went, and, like, I came back. It was a very kind of sobering thing, man. It was
Yeah.
like when I went, dude, I was scared shitless. I'm like, I am gonna die.
Yep.
Like all I could think of was not fucking up my
Yeah,
job. That's all I could.
get me out of here as soon as I can, but I also need to not mess this up because I'll be here
I'm
longer.
like, yeah, and
Yeah.
honestly, dude, like I was less scared for my own life than I was. Like, all I was thinking about was fixing the engine. Like, like we were flying over there, and all I wanted to do was just get to this engine so I could do something about it.
Yep.
And that kind of changes your kind of perspective on things. But I think it's a very important thing to kind of have to do.
Yeah,
It
it's
goes,
just like something you really can't prepare for. There's no like
no,
step by
no,
step guide to get you ready to face something so shitty, pretty much.
yeah, like I could tell you all about what you're gonna do, but like until you actually do it, it doesn't compare at all.
Yeah.
But to just reflecting on it now, the amount of growth that I had, just in that one deployment, let alone like my next five, it's like it's insane looking back at it. Like the amount of times that like I thought, okay, this sucks, dude. Like
Man, I mean,
it's
on top of that, it's like there's so many times I thought, and it's every person I was with. It's like so many times, like, what are my real chances of dying out here? like no bullshit. What are my real chances of actually dying out here? Because for me, when I first touched down in Afghanistan, it was missions every day, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, bro, fuck me.
no,
Am I getting out
no,
of this? Like, no bullshit. So
yeah,
and then it leads you to like, bro, this sucks. But then you're back to fuck. If I die, I can't be thinking this sucks. So like now you're all together thinking the same shit, and now it's fun, but you're all in this shitty ass situation. But yeah,
no, but
back
I
to
mean,
get back on track. Sorry.
it gives you a real healthy dose of perspective. So
Yeah.
kind of bringing it back to the topic here, like when we stopped deploying and we stopped kind of having those moments,
Yeah.
and like at when we stopped deploying, right? I wasn't really deploying that much anymore. I was kind of off the rotation just because I had deployed a
Yeah.
few times
You
over
gotta
the
move
years.
up too.
Yeah, yeah, you kind of move up, and there's young guys that need to go out and get that
Yeah.
experience. So then it's like, well, okay, my role then is just to train guys to go be able to do that, right? Which I loved. I love training people how to do that. But it's like, how do you train someone to do a job knowing that they're not going to do it?
Yeah, or knowing, like you just said, that you can't prepare them for most experiences. Like we just,
Yeah,
you know what
it's
I'm
like
saying? Like it's like a almost a dead end you're at here.
yeah, it's like a me training you for a job that you're really not going to ever have to do. It's like,
Yeah,
how do you find purpose in that?
yeah,
And so that kind of led me down to wanting to get out and then kind of finding my purpose a little bit more on that. But I mean, I think it was great looking back at it now that it happened. Like when it happened, obviously it sucked. It's like, okay, well, what's my purpose? Why am I even here right now?
Yeah, so I think it's really, really important to note that once you ask that first question, your immediate reaction is going to be like, "Fuck, I don't have one," and your mind, your mentality is going to go straight down. I mean, it's in our system. It's most people. You think, "What's my purpose?" If you're like me, like me and you, my bad. We get done with this thing. We had a purpose. We're go, go, go. Now it's gone. And now you're like, well, now I don't have one. Fuck. Now you got to get on a hunt for one. Or for me, I was fortunate enough to sit back, think about it, and kind of think, what do I really want to do in my life? What do I really enjoy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's kind of something that like it's a tough question to answer, but there's so much opportunity to grow when you ask
Once,
yourself that.
yeah, it's that. Yeah, I agree. Once you ask it, step one is asking. It's just like a addiction type shit. Like you
Yeah, no, no,
recognizing the
no, no.
problem. Yeah. The step one is asking that. Because if you could, well, I mean, dude, you can look around and see all these people that don't. I mean, you're already top 2% of people in the world if you ask that question. And then you're top
Yeah,
one if you answer that. Because everyone who asks that question, dude, ends up getting an answer. You will get an answer. If that question is on your mind once, it'll irritate you to no end to where you end up having to find an answer. It's just that type of person, I think, in my opinion.
no, you're right. That's like I don't know a single successful person that doesn't know what their purpose is.
No, man, you can't. Because, I mean, if you even think about it, you wake up, what do you do? What's your purpose? I know I got
I
to brush
mean,
my teeth. I
yeah,
know I got to brush my teeth. I know I got to get dressed. I know I got to go to work probably. I know I got to go to school probably. What are all these things? Most of these things are shit that society is like, you got to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we're waking up every day from age 0 until you ask this question, what's my purpose? Thinking this is the way we're programmed. This is what we do. This is just what I'm told to do. This is step by step guide because my parents did it. People before them did it. The people before them did it. I just wake up, do this stuff. This is the routine forever. And then no one ends up finding it out.
if it's a real bad thing, dude, like if you really don't know what you're here for, you ain't even getting out of bed.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, no bullshit. I mean, around when was I? I found out I was getting out in March of last year. Oh
Dude.
man, woo! I did
Yeah, it's
not
like
want to get out of bed, bro.
what are you even doing, bro? Like it's such a crazy thing. Like once you start asking yourself questions like that, because like you start to realize how many people don't do that.
Yeah,
And then it's like, okay, no one's asking themselves questions that they should be, right? So that kind of like goes into what my purpose is. It's there's so many people that should be asking themselves these questions and that could benefit from them, right? But they're just not.
I mean, yeah.
It's a tough question to answer, man. And it's like if you don't know the kind of tools on how to answer that, you're not going to be able
Well,
to.
and I think it's also like the initial. I mean, it's the uncomfortability, like you said. You don't want to get in this uncomfortable spot where you reckon. I mean, it's in everyone's head. Like I probably should find out what I got to do. I probably should find out what I need to do in this life. It's
So
back
yeah,
there. You know what I'm saying? So no one wants to acknowledge it because it's extremely uncomfortable. You fall into this state naturally of fuck, this sucks, pretty much. Unless you're like a Greek god, you're like fuck, this blows, and then you slowly climb your way out of it, slowly, 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 and then you get to such a incredible point. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect. I achieved this cool point, but like I said 2 weeks ago, I hit this point where I finally woke up and I was like, fuck, that's it, bingo. I think I found it. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Did you
Yeah, no,
have that like realization point?
I had a realization point that I didn't have a purpose anymore. Yeah.
No, no,
Um.
no. When you found it again.
Oh, when I found it, I'll be honest with you, bro. It took me a long time to find it because like no one came up to me right and said, "Here's how you found your purpose," right?
Yeah,
Like or
exactly.
find
Yeah.
no one like no one really teaches you how to do that, right?
No.
So that's kind of something that I wanted to touch on. Really, is like kind of how I found my purpose and how I think other people can too.
All right.
So what I used was it's called the Socratic Method, and I'm gonna kind of tell you a little bit about it, and then I'll give an example to make a lot of
All right.
sense. So like most people, you know, they like to help people. No one is gonna help someone achieve something and think, oh, I really wish I didn't do that.
Yeah.
It's a it's a pretty universal thing to like to do.
Yeah, it's
Help
normal. It's like you get that sense of satisfaction when you help someone and they succeed or something off of your info.
precisely, yeah. So you take that as the kind of example that we can work with, right? Like you like to help people. That was mine. That's yours too, I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's just a universal thing, man. So okay, you like to help people. So with the Socratic method, what you do is you take a truth, right? You like to help people, so do I. You ask yourself questions about that truth, and then you're trying to get to a no. And in that no, you have a more refined truth, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so say the help people thing, right?
Mhm.
What do I want to help people do whatever they want? Because and then no, of course not. What if all you want to do is do drugs? I don't want to help you do drugs. That's going to ruin fun.
So there's one answer.
Yeah. So exactly. So now I know I want to help people do something that's going to benefit them long term. It's going to be a net positive in their life, right?
Mhm.
So then it's like, well, okay, there are 100 different things that it can be a net positive. It's like, well, do I want to help people do that by making a lot of money? And it's like, well, I would love to help people make money, but you can't get there, quite yet.
Yeah. I mean, you ought to
Like the
make some
money,
money.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree. But
Yeah.
the money will come, but it it's hard to have a main driver that's money in a lot of people.
Yeah,
A
so
lot of
yeah,
people,
that's a big it's like a tangible goal and untangible goal. Like money is normally a tangible goal.
yeah,
But
but
it's
like,
just it's also just like a weird thing to shoot for.
yeah, but money can only carry you so far, man. What do you do if in 6 months you're still not making money?
Yeah.
A year,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
true. Yeah.
And so I
Okay.
figured out that like money was not something that I wanted to target. I knew it would come, and it will come if the purpose is right. One of
Okay.
those one of
Yeah.
those kind of things.
Yeah, so yeah, mine was weird because like I never like realized I didn't want to shoot for money. Mine was more just I don't care for the money. Like I always had this like weird even now even like I've always had this weird thing where I've never really cared about money. And even like I mean you've mentioned it too when we're hanging out like we'll go out to eat or whatever and I'll just swipe my card and you mentioned I mean it's just cool how we me and you both don't keep track of it. We don't if you're focused on that money aspect man you ought, you ought not to be, bro.
No,
Straight
it can
up.
only carry you so far, man.
Yeah.
And like, just real quick, is there anything worse than like being out with someone they're like, oh yeah, you owe me 13 cents?
Yeah, bro. The fucking dude who's like, yeah, you can just Venmo me 817. Oh, don't forget that 5% tax Venmo takes out for my bank.
Yeah, bro. It's
Like,
like
go fuck yourself. I'll never see you
my
again.
my friendship isn't worth a Happy Meal.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, no bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of getting back to it, I knew that like having a strictly like financial motivator, that's not really what I'm looking for, right? So it's like, okay, I want to help people
Oh shit. My
do
fucking cat,
something.
bro, just tore out my headphone. Trying to reach
Really?
up at my ass, bro. My bad. Go ahead. Shut
No, it's
up.
all good. No, so I wanted to help people find a way that's going to motivate them to make money, right? And it's like, okay, well, just in doing that, we've gone from, I want to help people to something that's a lot more actionable. And then it's like you can kind of get into what that looks like. So for me, it was I want to help people really help themselves. Like people, I want to say people have so much potential, man, that they don't really tap into.
Yeah.
And like it's to me, it's only because they don't ask themselves these hard questions
Hmm.
and they don't really have a way to kind of refine the truth and figure out
Yeah. So
what
I'll
what
kind of go
it
through
is.
my kind of Socratic method or kind of what I used.
Yeah, yeah.
Mine was different for sure. I don't think this should be everyone's. I don't think it's good for everyone, but mine was so since I had a drinking problem, we'll get into that at a later time. Um,
Later on.
yeah, I quit drinking and I switched over to smoking weed. And every time I was smoking, it was more of an in-depth Socratic method. Now that I'm able to kind of compare them, I would go into this mode. I would go outside. I would sit at the river in the backyard. I would smoke, and I would just sit there and think of what I like to do. Like, this is what I like to do. These are the livings I know in the world that I could do with this skill or with this thing that I like to do. So let's say it's psychology. So I love psychology. I love diving into psychology. I think the brain is just an unbelievable thing. There's so many different ways to go about it. Or you could talk about psychology for days and days and days. But with psychology, what do you want to do? You want to still open your own practice. You want to be a psych nurse. Like, you could just go so many different ways. I love psychology. I don't have to go to school for it. So, but I would smoke. I would go outside, and I would think, this is what I would have to do to become a psych nurse, or this is what I would have to do if I wanted to own my own practice. Now I sit down. I got 10 years of schooling, 12 years of schooling. It's tough. I know I can do it. What else would I not like about this? And then what would I like about this? So it was like a pros and cons, but it's like a more crazy in depth Socratic method. I mean, I'm sure yours can get more in depth than just yes and no, obviously. But I wasn't sitting down thinking, let me use the Socratic method. I was sitting down thinking, this could be my job. What would my future look like? I mean, you could look up on Google. There's doctors on YouTube. You could see their lives like right here. You could see how they're living. That's your future. You could see their future. Do you want to do that or you want to do something else? Luckily, I was able to kind of break it down with you. You helped me out, and it just came down to we both love helping people. How can we help people while also pursuing something that we both have a passion for?
Yeah, and it's like that's kind of the great thing about the Socratic method is like you don't have to go from like I want to help people to I have a definitive purpose in life, you know, in
Yeah,
10 minutes.
yeah, no,
It
this I like yeah these man that would have had to be at least 100 smoke sessions. Like, I
no,
mean, it
yeah,
was over a course of a year and a half.
because that's the great thing about it. It's like even if you refine that statement or that truth, even 1%, you're still farther
You're
from where you
1% closer than you were right before you found that,
yeah,
which
no,
is
and like
infinitely better, man. It's so crazy how people like those small steps are small steps, man. You got, I mean, we got 50. How old am I? I'm 24. I got 60 years hopefully left. You identify one of those 1% right now, one of those small things that I got to strive for right now. By age 25, hopefully I'll have at least 10 more.
yeah,
You
and the way
know?
I it's like going to the gym, dude. No one
Mhm.
gets fucking jacked overnight, you know.
Yeah, and well, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to cut you off because I got something really good for that. Because Nelson, another good friend of ours who we met in the army, he said this when I first hopped on the train. I would go over to his house, and he's like, "Look, dude, it's not like gonna happen overnight. This is a steady thing that I've been working on. This is a constant thing that I keep this mental state of mind. Like, I'm working on this every day. And when I first started, I had this mentality like, I got it, I'm good. Like, I understand it, I just don't care about it. You're wrong.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, it's like it's not gonna happen overnight. Like he was saying, this is a constant. You are constantly working towards it, just like the gym. Constantly going at it. You got to work at this every day, man. It's not easy either.
No, and it's one of those things too where it's like, well, okay, if you could do it overnight, what really would it even be worth it, you know?
Yeah, at that point, yeah, what are you really even gaining? What are you gaining out of it? You're almost
Probably
not
not.
even gaining because you need the
It,
experience.
yeah, dude, because like if you can go from no purpose
Yeah.
to I think I have a purpose in an hour, I guarantee you don't.
To yeah, no, exactly, yeah. I agree.
It takes a lot of thinking and a lot of brain power, man. But the end result, it's just like being fucking jacked.
Yeah,
It's such a beneficial thing to have achieved, because it just sets you up for the rest of your life. But you kind of have to put in that work, you know?
it's one of those things you got to stay disciplined with it, and it's a hard thing too. It's just like going up to the bench and knowing that you have never lifted 225 pounds before.
Mhm.
You're like, fuck, I've never done this before.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where I kind of like continuously do it, Like before we had this idea for this show, I had already kind of found my purpose, but this was something that like I didn't even think about really,
Yeah, see, it like manifests itself, huh?
Yeah, no, and I think it's one of those things where once you kind of find it, you can further refine it over time.
Yeah,
It's like a living kind of thing.
ongoing process, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was just kind of how I found my purpose, a little bit. It's just it's at the end of the day, bro. It's a tough thing to kind of ask yourself and reconcile, but the Socratic method is really just the best way to kind of go about that. At least in
Yeah, I
my
mean,
opinion.
yeah, there's different ways of going about it. It's going to be hard for everyone. But there's resources you can use. There's resources I use that are obviously different than yours. Even though I mean we're like this, going through this journey together, and we still got completely different resources, different opinions, almost on not different opinions, but different views on a lot of it. So hopefully through this, I mean that's my goal, is to kind of push more resources out there, so whoever's hearing this can kind of click a link below and dive into whatever I was able to dive into that saved my life.
Yeah, no, and it's like that's where I really kind of found the benefit of Twitter, just because like the people that you kind of get access to on Twitter that that have their purpose and that
If
have just
used
kind of
correctly,
built
yeah.
exactly they built these insane things like Sobra, let's say, right? You know damn good and well he's found his purpose.
Yeah,
And
that man knows what he's doing. Yeah.
we'll link his channel down below. But
Yeah, we'll throw in a podcast or something. Yeah, his Twitter.
that dude's a phenomenal example, man. It's like he has his purpose and he acts on it. But like you're not even going to know that there are people out there like that until you
No,
kind of get
yeah, I didn't know, and that's what that was one of the most realized like self-realization moments for me, is just realizing that there are people also out there doing this just like me, look, hunting for this purpose. And that's when
but
I
the,
was
I
like,
mean,
boom. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
boom, I ain't the only one. Boom, I got mine, and let's go. You know what I'm saying? So
And
it's
that's such a huge thing with anything, dude. Like humans like to know that they're not the only one with a problem, and
hmm
they never are.
no,
But
you're
like,
never the first one to do it, bro.
but people feel so isolated now, and it's insane how isolated people feel.
While
Like,
also, while also having
yeah,
a fun, like we're doing this week. I called you or texted you, hey, I'm on. Get on. We got on. We're recording right away. You know what I'm saying? We are as connected as we can be, while also being as disconnected as we ever were.
yeah, we have pretty much infinite access to anyone. Like, I could tweet whoever, the president of the United States. We have access to everything. We can call people. We have Facebook. We have Instagram. Whatever. We're so connected, but we've never felt so isolated. And so that's where I think it's absolutely critical to get into spaces where there are like-minded people that think like you, that have acted on it, and that can really show you how to kind of navigate these issues and find your own purpose.
Yeah, lead you to the promised land, as some would say.
Yeah, no, straight
Yeah.
up. That's kind of how they did. So.
But yeah, man, glad we knocked this out today. Glad we did take two
Yeah,
about
no,
it.
I like it. Yeah, if anyone is curious, we made this episode yesterday. It was a lot longer, but there was a problem with the audio, so we had to do it again. So, but no,
So if there
we
ain't anything you gotta learn from episode one, it's resiliency, because fuck me,
got
we had to do it all over,
yeah,
bro.
so we could do an episode on resilience and bring that out.
Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah,
That
man.
just speaks to your purpose, though. Is like if your purpose is strong enough, dude, any setback is fucking
Yeah,
who cares?
no, it didn't. Like I said, it was. I think it was one of those Giorgio, right? Is that the guy, the Roman dude? It was one of those
Yeah.
thing. Sebastian. He was like, it was times where I was failing, and it didn't even phase me. Like
No,
like yesterday, I was just like, oh, that sucks.
because all a failure is an opportunity to learn, right?
Yeah,
Like I think it's only a true failure if you don't learn anything. So like when what happened yesterday, right? I guess that we failed because, we had the video but not the
failed.
audio, but like we learned how to
Hmm.
make both of them.
And with that, we could end it on a quote from Albert Einstein. How about it? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Bang. Glad we did it, Kev.
Fuck.
We'll catch
Fuck.
you whenever we're able to do it again.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Peace.